Hey everyone, welcome to Earthling Cooks. Today we're going to be making some stuffed peppers. Now this is going to be a completely different recipe than anyone's probably ever seen because I just made it up in my head and it should be awesome. So what we're going to start with, of course, you need some peppers, and you can use green, red, whatever color you want. This one's kind of green and red. Some tomatoes, onion, garlic, some rice, of course. I'm going to be adding some breadcrumbs, and I'll talk more about that later. Some cheese. You can use whatever cheese you like the most. If you like cheddar, use cheddar. I'm using a 6 blend Italian. We're going to be putting a little bacon in, not a ton, but everyone loves bacon. So a little bit of diced up bacon. I'm sure I probably said ground beef. An egg. Again, something you're not going to see in stuffed green pepper often, but we'll be showing you how we use that. Going to need some diced tomatoes and tomato paste and tomato sauce, and of course some salt and pepper. So let's go ahead and start the recipe here. Now I need to cook my rice first. It's going to be added in to the mixture already softened and cooked. So I'm just going to cook it based on the package. I just boil it or simmer it for about 20 minutes. Not going to show that on camera, but go ahead and get your rice ready. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on to simmer and then come back and show you guys the next step. Alright, so I'm just making 2 peppers. I'm going to actually get those ready after I make the rest of this, because this is the hard part. We're going to need a bowl, but since I'm making just 2 peppers, instead of making a whole pound, I'm probably just going to use about 3/4 of this pound, and I'll save the rest. If you're making more than 2 peppers, use at least a pound, and if you're making a ton of them, even more. But for a couple peppers like this, about a 1/2 to 3/4 a pound. And I'll go ahead and put this away. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and dice up, I think probably just 1 piece of bacon, because again, just doing 2 peppers, I don't need a ton. Just want a little bit of that flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bacon diced up. Alright, so I got my bacon chopped up, and I just wanted to show this onion and garlic before I chop it up. Using a lot less garlic than onion, as you can see, but still not very much. Again, I'm only making 2. I only used a 1/4 cup of rice as well. I might not even need all of that. But now I'm going to get these diced up, and then we'll continue. Alright, we have our diced up onion, garlic, and bacon here. We're just going to throw it in with the ground beef. And now, we can go ahead and cut up a tomato or 2. And we just want to get this cut again up into kind of diced pieces, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But you just want these in smaller pieces. This is one from my garden. Tastes really nice from my garden. And we're going to be kind of squishing these around anyways. So just get them diced up pretty much like that. And add that into there. And I was thinking about adding this little one too, because they're different types of tomatoes. I'll add a little bit of this one too, since I have it from my garden. I want to use a little bit of it, so just going to dice this one up a little bit. This one's still a little green on the inside, but that's completely fine. And then we'll throw that in there as well. And now for the green peppers. For these, you're going to want to cut off the top. And then you're going to want to, ooh, look at that pretty color on that pepper. It's like, this is like every color pepper. I grew this from seed and it's a green pepper, but pretty cool. We're going to want to get rid of all the membrane and the seeds now, so cut around each of the sides. And then this should just kind of pull out. Once the top's out, you got to get in there and cut out a little bit more of the membrane, and then you're going to want to rinse out the seeds, and you can do that at your sink with water. So I'm going to go ahead and clean both of these out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright guys, next step here, I'm going to add a little bit of tomato paste. I don't really have to do this because I added a lot of tomatoes. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that. But I'm going to add just a little bit in there. The rest of the tomato paste I'm going to throw into the pan that we're going to cook in, which I'll show you more about in a second. Get that in there. Alright. And we're going to go ahead and add our egg. And also about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. So what you might be thinking is, where do these ideas come from? And it's kind of very similar to meatloaf. You put an egg in breadcrumbs and meatloaf. So we did a little bit of breadcrumbs and a little bit of rice. And we added the egg. Now we're going to add a little bit of cheese to the mixture. We'll also put a little bit on top. But I got that 6 cheese Italian, but you can get any type of cheese you want. And I'm just going to estimate how much I want in there. That should be good. And then we're going to add some salt and pepper. And again, guys, I'm just kind of making up this recipe so you guys can kind of look around at what I'm doing. I got maybe a teaspoon of salt. I don't want to add too much, but I want a little bit in there. That's why I dumped it in here first so it wasn't too fast. And a little pepper. And then what I'm going to have to do, like meatloaf, I'm going to have to mix this all up with my hands. But first, let me show you what we're doing with this. This is going to be the pan I cook in. It's the perfect size for just 2 of these. You can use any pan you want that fits the peppers you're going to be using. But I put that tomato paste in there. Now I'm going to throw in some diced tomatoes and green chilies. All the liquid and everything. And I'm going to throw in some tomato sauce. You could also use tomato soup if you want to try some, if you have that at home or something. But basically now, I need to stir this up, but I don't want to do it with my knife. I'll use this. Basically now what's going to happen is we're going to put the green peppers in here after we stuff them, and then we're just going to sit them down into this, and this is just going to give some nice flavor. It's going to help soften them as they're cooking, and it's going to help them cook better too because they're sitting in a liquid that gets hot, and it'll add a lot of flavor to them the whole way through. So all we need to do is wait for this rice to finish softening, and then I will show you the last couple steps. Alright, so the rice is done. I'm just going to use this little cup I had over here that I was stirring with, and I'm just going to add like a fourth and a little bit more. I kind of just cook meatloafs and stuff like this, just kind of estimating. So you guys see what I do and kind of got estimates. Doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you're close, it'll taste awesome. So now we got everything in there. I got to go ahead and just mix that all up with my hands. And then, ooh, that rice is still a little warm. And then once this is all mixed up, we will stuff the peppers. Make sure to start preheating your oven right now to 350, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now we have this all mixed up, and we're just going to fill the peppers with it. So we'll just go ahead, get them full. These are pretty big peppers here. You might have smaller ones. This one I grew in the garden is humongous. So this is plenty for a whole meal, basically, for one person. Of course, you can serve sides if you want. But it looks like I'm going to use up basically all of this for these huge peppers. And you can make it overflow from the top a little bit if you like. Only thing else that we're going to be putting on top is a little bit of cheese. But I'm going to wait till these cook a little bit. I don't want the cheese just sitting on there. I don't think cheese really is going to burn on there, but I'm going to throw the cheese on when I check on them, like 30 minutes through the cook. We're going to cook them for about 45 minutes at that 350. And it looks like got pretty much all of it there. One more little scoop in here. That was a pretty good estimation for how much I would need. So now we have this thing full of tomato paste, that diced tomato and chili thing, and we're just going to put these straight down into there. Kind of moving around, and as you can see, it's filling up almost to the tops of them. That's perfect. My oven is preheating, so once it gets fully preheated, we'll go ahead and throw these in. I guess I'll throw on a tiny bit of cheese now. I might put on more. I really like cheese on, and especially like the top having cheese on it, so I'll probably put more on later as well, but I'll throw a little bit of cheese on now. Oh, that's perfect timing. That's my oven saying it's preheated. So let's go ahead and toss it in the oven now. And the oven's just over here, so Now we're going to set an alarm for 30 minutes and come back and check on it. Alright, it's been 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's looking like it's cooking just fine. And you don't have to add any more cheese, but I like cheese on these stuffed peppers, so I'm just going to throw a little more cheese around, and it's okay if I don't get it perfectly on them. It's not going to stick to that sauce too much, so just throw a little more cheese on for myself. Again, that's personal preference. The more cheese you like, go ahead and put more on. So it looks like they're cooking good. I'm going to go ahead actually real quick. Where's my knife at? You can tell they're done when the peppers start getting soft. These are still have a little bit way to go. And also, I know that I should cook these about 45 minutes at 350 because that's how long I cook my meatloaf. That's a 1 pound meatloaf. So we're going to put these in for about another 15, maybe 20 minutes. And then they should be done. Alright guys, it's been another 20 minutes. So we're at 50 minutes now. And it's smelling amazing and looking perfectly awesomely done. So we're at 50 minutes on 350. We're going to take this out, bring it over here onto the counter, and then we're going to cut one up and give it a taste and see how it turned out. Alright, so here is our finished product, and it looks amazing. We're going to go ahead and get one out. I'm going to eat the one from my garden first, the pepper from my garden first. Maybe see how we can get this out. I'm going to use a slotted spoon and just hope that most of the tomato will stay in there and go through. Yeah, that's easy to get out. In fact, it's just kind of going on its side, but that's fine. And this is probably going to be really hot. Let me just get it down there. And then you can go ahead and, if you like tomatoes a lot, you can either put some on your plate on the side and just use it as like an extra sauce, or you can throw a little bit also on top there. And there we go, stuffed green pepper. Now, like I said, this is kind of my experimental recipe here. So we are going to go ahead and give it a taste, of course. But it is very hot, just came out of the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple seconds. And then we'll go ahead, cut it in half, take a look at it, and give it a taste. Alright, I don't know if this is fully cooled yet, but let's go ahead and cut it in two and then I'll give it a try. It's okay if I make a mess because I'm going to eat 99% of this thing probably. Haven't eaten much today and this is going to be a big meal, but alright, there we go. That's a nice cut. And we can see right there the meat is definitely fully cooked. See all the tomatoes in there, see a little bit of the rice in there. These breadcrumbs I use this time are kind of finer breadcrumbs. I usually like to use a little thicker ones. That's just what I had at my house. But it looks amazing. Let me go ahead and want a little bit of the outside as well as a little bit of the inside. Go ahead and, oh, a little bit stuck there still. I'm also going to maybe just take a little bit of this tomato topping I have and throw it on there. And hopefully this is cool enough to eat. A little bite of everything. Let's see how this is. Oh wow. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I'm going to devour this whole thing. That is so good. It doesn't taste like meatloaf. I mean, like I said, I use the egg and a little bit of breadcrumbs. But these tomatoes in here are amazingly good. Use fresh tomatoes like I did if you can. You don't have to grow them at home. Use fresh instead of canned. Oh, the flavor is so good. I just want to keep eating it, actually. So let me just finish this video by saying this is kind of maybe a new idea I have for videos like Earthling's Creations. I just made this up out of my head, you know, and went to the store, bought some items, and made this because I had this pepper at home and I wanted to use it. So maybe I'll make some more videos in the future, like Earthling's Creations, and we'll just show you on camera what I'm doing and making it up as we go. Turned out great. I definitely suggest you guys give this recipe a try. I know there's no exact measurements, but that's okay. Most of it's the meat. You throw in a little bit of rice, a little bit of breadcrumbs, little tomatoes, onions, garlic. It doesn't have to be precise. You know, it's going to taste good no matter what. Just don't go overboard on one of the ingredients, except for beef, which is the main one. I don't taste the bacon very much in my first bite, but I didn't put a ton of bacon in. I might not have got a piece in it the first bite. Overall awesome. Definitely give this one a try, guys. I'm going to finish eating. Have any questions, let me know. See y'all later, and happy cooking.